Hello, my fellow nerds, and thanks again for watching another episode of Nerdboy Gaming. I am Nerdboy81. I hope you are doing well. If you are eagerly awaiting the release of Ark Survival Ascended on Xbox console, then I feel your pain, because expectedly, or maybe unexpectedly, depending on which camp you're in, the game has been delayed once again, as it has not passed certification through Microsoft to be on their store and to be launched on console. And I wanted to jump on here and share my thoughts on what this means for the console release, what it means for Sony, and what it means for an already frustrated community. How are you guys taking the news of this delay? Make sure you leave a comment below and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them as we delve deeper into yet another misstep by our Studio Wildcard and Snail Games. So grab your virtual pitchforks, torches, survivors, let's dive in. So earlier today, it was announced that Ark Survival Ascended was going to be delayed yet again on the console, that it was not going to meet certification and it would not be launching tomorrow on November 14th. And of course, there's no other date given. It's just that we're going to hope to have it later this week. We don't know what that means. Later this week could be Sunday, could be Saturday, could very well fall into next week. And again, at the core of all of the frustrations of a gamer is this continued miscommunication or missteps or challenges. I guess as a project manager, was this release date always going to be your best case scenario? In best cases, it was going to come out on Tuesday, or was this your mid case, or was this your worst case? I'm hopeful for the state of the game that this was your best case scenario and it just didn't happen. And so now you're moving on to what would be your next best option, which is end of the week. Because if this was your worst case scenario and it didn't happen and you're not getting through certification, that does not bode well for the release of console. It's frustrating as a creator or somebody who's passionate about this game, and I feel bad for those who felt like they wanted to take tomorrow off so that they could play when the game drops. A game like Ark is about the grind. It's about getting time on the server and grinding, especially if you're playing official. You're going to need that time to catch up to some extent or to get ahead on the servers. So some people take the time off. Or if you're like me and you're a content creator or trying to be, desperately trying to be, you may have taken the time off because you know that in order to get ahead in this industry of YouTube and gaming news, you got to be at the top of the story pile. You can't be 12 to 15 hours behind on your first time playing, or your initial thoughts, or your reviews, or even this video. There's already several videos out there just like this one, and that's the challenge of being a part-time YouTuber or content creator. So it's very frustrating when Studio Wildcard has these hiccups or missteps or challenges, because it makes it difficult for the content creators, it makes it difficult for the fans, and everybody to get excited for the game. But what's concerns for me is why the delay. Again, as I said, if this was your best case scenario, first off, why are you using your best case scenario as your project deadline or the chance of release, and not your worst case scenario, which is what most project managers do. When you're looking at when a project's going to be due, you don't generally promise it on your best case scenario. You generally promise it somewhere between your best and worst case scenario. So that makes me a little bit nervous for the state of the game on console. It is entirely possible that this certification process will fail again, and that they will have to resubmit for certification. It's also possible that they're working directly with Xbox right now, going back and forth on fixes and things to make the game stable so that it runs on Xbox. There's clearly something that has prevented it from getting certification today. Which brings me to my next thing. If they did get certification today, how ready is Nitrado and Snail Games and Studio Wildcard for Xbox players to be jumping on servers and playing? Is there more work that needs to be done once the certification happens? That makes me nervous for when this game could eventually come out. Because if we're waiting on certification and that's it, then great. But if it's certification and then a bunch more work, that's a challenge. Of course, my next question is, what does this mean for Sony? Sony is sitting in the weeds. I would assume there's a second team working on Sony certifications, and this delay here may not impact Sony's delay, but it very well could. Or it could just show where we're sitting on the certification process with both Xbox and Sony. As we know, the game on PC has had some issues. It has some stability issues. It has some optimization issues. It has some issues that maybe need to be addressed. Xbox has a process for certifying their games. And if the game can't get certified, it can't be on the Microsoft Store, which means we can't buy it and play it. So the real question is this game going to pass? And if it doesn't pass, how long will that delay be? It's highly likely that there's a relationship between Studio Wildcard, Snail Games, and Xbox, considering that Arc 2 is looking to be a console or Microsoft exclusive launch. That there's probably some relationship built there. So it may not be a certification process where they submitted it and it goes through and then fails and comes back and they have to fix and then resubmit. They might be working in tandem on these issues live. We have no idea because there's no communication from Studio Wildcard on what any of this delay means, other than it's not there yet, so we can't deliver tomorrow, but maybe the end of the week. Again, as a content creator or somebody who's, anxiously waiting to play this game, the end of the week is not a date. It's just a general idea of what it could be. But with Wildcard's track record from just in my world of ASA, just my time with them, let alone the years that you guys have had, just my time with them, I don't trust it. I don't know. At this point, I just am going to assume it's not coming out on console anytime soon until they actually have a date. And even when they have a date, it's still not set in stone, so it's really difficult. Here's my suggestion, Studio Wildcard. Should you take it or leave it? Let's say I'm your project. I'm looking at your project, and I'm looking at, okay, best case scenario, this game could be out, let's say, this week. Middle of the road option would be maybe middle of next week. Worst case scenario, let's say November 31st. Let's just throw this out there for this project. For me, I would say we are releasing this game December 15th. That's a buffer, 15 extra days. And then I would say pre-orders begin on December 10th. So you can begin buying it and maybe even go September 1st or December 1st if you want. Open up pre-orders. Let people buy the game. Let them download the game. There will be a day one patch. There always is. And almost every game I've ever pre-downloaded, there's typically a day one patch at some point. So let us have access. Let us buy the game. Let us get the game downloaded. But they can't pass certification, which means it's not on the store. And that, to me, is the real concern. But if you had your worst case scenario being end of November, then in this case, December 1st, you'd be able to start buying the game and give yourself those 15 days to get this thing all worked out and launch it. And launch it with Sony if you can. Put us together at this point. I think what we would really like is a stable foundation to stand on and a game that we can trust is going to come out when you say it's going to come out. That will go a long ways to making us feel good about this game. Now, I went to review the process of certification to try to understand where maybe this game could be delayed, what the challenges could be. I put a link in the description below to the certification process. It's 108 pages. It is a process that you have to go through to get a game to be certified and put on Xbox. Joining the developer program, development and training, preparing submission materials, compliance testing, technical certification, content review, submission to Xbox Live, release and post-launch support, regular updates if you're going to run those, all have to be tested. And so I took a look at where maybe some of the challenges could be, as maybe it's in the compliance testing, right? On the technical standards, the live policies, or it could be in technical certification that you're struggling right now. Again, these are all guesses because there's no real communication as to where the holdup is, but is it performance and stability? I'm going to go out on a limb based on my time on ASA on the PC, is that there's a performance and stability challenge that is plaguing this game a little bit. It could also be the user interface, audio and video standards, age ratings, regional compliance, Xbox Live integration. There could be a ton of things that are causing this game to not get final certification. With any luck, it'll be soon. But if you guys want to read that process, I left a link below. Feel free to do so. This is frustrating for me. It's frustrating for you guys. I struggle with this idea, and because other games do this, why you can't pick a date many days in the future. Give yourself an extra 2 weeks. I would rather give you more time and have you launch on the day you say you're going to launch than plan for a launch that doesn't happen. Because as somebody who may take time off, or somebody who's trying to plan their content around a launch, or, trying to grow a YouTube channel, who have dreams and big ideas but still have to work real jobs, this is a challenge for us. And it doesn't help that we can't have any support or true ideas. If we could write in stone December 1st launch or December 15th launch or whatever date it is and write it in stone, then we could prepare for it. We could plan for it. We could write our content to it. Maybe I'm being selfish here, or if you just love the game, you could take the time off to get prepared to play. I don't know. I know I'm new and I'm griping here a little bit, and I'm a little frustrated because I've been waiting for console. I had streams planned, things I was planning to do this week. I kind of had them tentatively written out. I certainly didn't take time off because I don't trust that the game was going to come out. I was hopeful. I had a lot of hope, and I know that's probably my strategy at this point is hope. It's not a great strategy for Studio Wildcard, and it hasn't been working for them. Besides all the other frustrations that I've heard on, from comments on my last video and all the other challenges, it's this. This is the core of why we get frustrated with this game. Besides all the other things that go on behind the scenes that are even also challenging. But for the positive, it's coming. Hopefully it launches this week would be great. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things where day by day we're going to be waiting for content updates, waiting on the Discord, waiting for somebody to say it's coming. They'll probably say it's launching Thursday morning this afternoon, and then by Thursday afternoon it'll be Thursday evening, and then it'll launch sometime late into the evening one night, and it'll be out, and it'll be what it'll be. It should, based on the certification process, it should at least be somewhat stable and a strong game at launch, or at least a game that could be played. It is possible they're having issues with other things outside of that, but nobody knows because there's no communication as to what is the challenge, other than on the last fail, it had to do with multiplayer, which again, if that was the case, I hate to say it, Studio Wildcard, maybe you launch the game single player, get multiplayer working, and then enable that feature later. You would still be collecting some revenue for people like me who play single player and really like that portion of the game, but maybe other people would be frustrated. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. I would just say my recommendation is give yourself best case scenario, worst case scenario, and then add a buffer onto your worst case scenario, and let's have a good launch here soon. But guys, thank you so much for coming. I guess I'm welcome to the ARC community at this point, because this is apparently what it has been. But I'm excited. I certainly have really enjoyed my time in ARC, and I can't wait to play more and grow in this community and do more videos and share more stories and adventures and do more things. But definitely a frustrating day hearing that the game has been delayed on console yet again. As I finished the edit on this video, I switched over to Discord real quick. Just wanted to see if there was anything left, any other updates, maybe anything I missed that I needed to include on this video. And I saw a comment from Dolly. I believe Dolly is one of the project managers or project coordinators with the Studio Wildcard. She's been giving out pretty good information throughout the process, doing the best she can during an ever-changing moment. But I'm disappointed. I get the frustration. I get everybody's frustrated. I'm frustrated. We're all frustrated. We want to play the game. We're excited. But death threats are really never the solution. So Dolly writes, "This is a good example, well, one that is safe for work, of why I'm quiet, so I may as well post this here. I'm going to answer in a pretty personal way, so please skip if you're after game news. Giving updates and heavily interacting with you all as we progressed felt good, but it may have been better to leave it to official comms via our community managers where they are more protected by the Wildcard ARC accounts. My natural inclination is to chat with folks like I always have, but I'm reconsidering despite what players say in the moment when they're happy. Yeah, there are those who appreciate the extra communication from someone in a leadership position because that's not so common with studios, but I'm not sure it's worth it holistically for me personally or the community. Irrespective of where I land after I've given it more thought though, yeah, I'll be quiet for the time being while I'm getting death threats. No job is worth this. Take care, guys. Thank you to those who sent supportive messages or expressed frustration civilly, and you and your perspective is appreciated. Keep your eyes on official channels and announcements. Updates will come via those. Peace." Death threats are never the answer. I can understand being frustrated, but at the end of the day, this is a game. If you're that upset, don't buy the game. Don't support Studio Wildcard. Don't support Arc. Don't support Snail Games. Don't support Nitrado. Don't give them your money. But to send death threats or to threaten somebody who's trying to help the community have insights into what's happening is not appropriate. That's my opinion. There's nothing anybody's really going to be able to say to change that particular opinion. Gamers can be fussy. I've said it before. We can be kind of cranky. We are passionate about our games and what we get to play. But it is not worth the death threats. And that is too bad. And Dolly, I appreciated what she was able to give. She kept the community in touch and in the know throughout the process. It's unfortunate that it's come to that. But with that, guys, thanks for joining. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, have a great day.